Hello and good evening. I take this chance to welcome you to our lesson today, and the topic is the mall, as you can see on the board. So get ready, have your pen and a calculator, and of course, somewhere to write. This evening, I'm your teacher, Sir Alex. Thank you. Somewhere to write. This evening, yes, I think now we can start discussing this particular topic. We are going to have series of lessons on this topic, that is the mall. It's a very big one. We cannot do it in one day like today. In fact, for today, I'm just going to take very few minutes because it's just the introduction part. Then now from tomorrow, we are going to take a full 1 hour uh, every day from 8 to 9. For today, we've started a little bit late, but for today, let me just do the introduction part. I will take very few minutes. Then, yeah, from tomorrow, you get ready. At every day from 8 to 9. I believe in the next 1 week or, a few days, we will finish this particular topic. Then from there again, for those we are learning during the day using the Google Meet, those we have a program during the day, we will agree that after the mall, which other topic would you want me to discuss? But for now, I welcome you. Feel free, ask quick questions, and of course, you can tell me which is your school. What is the name of your school? You know, this thing is being watched by very many students from different parts of Kenya. So I need two things from you. One, which school are you from? And what is the name of your chemistry teacher? When I will be teaching physics, you will also tell me what is the name of your physics teacher. Welcome. The mall is the name is very small. It is a noun, if I may say so. That's why we starting with the word the mall. And when you were in Form 1, you interacted with the mall in two ways. One, when you were learning physics, kuna mahali you were learning about the physical quantities. So mole was SI unit for something known as the amount of substance. That was the first way in which you interacted with the mole. The second way, there are some guys, maybe they were in Form 3, Form 4, yeah. They were telling you, mjifanye tu, kuna topic fulani Form 3 inaitwa the mole. Hmm? So today, you will see that this topic is not a difficult thing. Just small concepts. In fact, leo tunakupea tu concepts tatu, ushike vizuri. Kesho ukame nikupea concepts tatu, ushike vizuri. Hivyo, then we will be doing a series of questions on this particular topic, that is the mole. So, si kitu ngumu. Now, the mole is actually the SI unit for the amount of substance. We had in Form 1 7 basic physical quantities. These are physical quantities which can only be measured. You cannot derive them. You can only measure, whereby amount of substance was one of them. So today, the first thing I would like you to write is the definition of the term mole. Confirm if my audio is okay. If it is okay, then I will be very happy. That's what I just wanted to hear from you. If my audio is fine, then make a comment. Tell me that your audio is top notch. I will be very, very grateful. Number two, you are free to share this link to whoever is willing to learn. Are you together? Yes. So let's start with the word mole. How do we define this particular term? The mole. Yeah, let me find a pen, then we will write on the board the mole. What is the mole? So you can just, I don't know whether you will see my board, but when I write, you will tell me whether you can see it. So the mole is defined as the amount of any substance that contains Avogadro's number of particles. Amount of any substance that contains Avogadro's number of particles. Now, amount of any substance that contains Avogadro's number of particles. Kama kuna mahali haionekani, you can tell me. I have the best handwriting, so it's not going to disturb you in any way. This number, which is known as the Avogadro's, is 6.023 times 10 power 23. So amount of any substance that contains 6.023 times 10 power 23 particles is called a mole. And I would like to say one thing. I'm just confirming if it is feasible, but I can say it is feasible. I would like just to say one thing, that these particles can be replaced by very many other words, because somebody can talk of the particles. Like right now, I have talked of the particles. Somebody else will talk of molecules, of atoms, of electrons, of ions, whichever the case. So this word particle can be replaced by those other words like ions, of course particles, we have atoms, we have electrons. What else do we have? Yeah, we can talk of also, we can talk of molecules. These are the words that can actually replace the word particle. So somebody can tell you it is the amount of any substance that contains Avogadro's number of ions, atoms, particles, electrons, molecules. It stands to be the right thing. Tuko pamoja mpaka hapo kwanza? Yes, so that is how we are introducing the mole. And we are going to check on a very many ways. I want us to check on it in this manner. First of all, what are some of the basic things that you should know before we start this particular topic? Now, when I was teaching this, or anytime I'm teaching this topic, I always take my students back to Form 2. I always tell them that you must know to do the following. I'm checking what's right. You must know how to write chemical formulas, and of course, chemical equations. And somebody will be like, why are you taking me back to Form 2? In this topic, unless you are very good in writing of chemical formulas and chemical equations, kuna mahali itakusumbua kidogo. But because I believe from now, because you have heard what I'm talking about, you're going to work on how to improve on chemical formulas and chemical equations. Something I believe by the time you are in Form 2, musho, like now you are going to Form 3, or you are in Form 3 going to Form 4, this one should never be a problem to you. Writing of proper chemical equations and proper chemical formulas should be something that you are supposed to be proud of. Are you together? Well, welcome to those who are getting in right now. Let me know where you are watching me from, and confirm the following 3 things. 1, if my audio is audible enough. Number 2, if you can see what I'm writing on the board. Then number 3, kama if you can see me. No, wachana na maneno if you can see me. You don't have to see me unless we bring all the lights here. Now, so from here, you should have known how to write the following, because at some point, there is something called the mole ratios, whereby you are supposed to write the chemical equations, balance the chemical equation, then we use what we call the mole ratios after you have balanced. Remember, for those who were in class during the day and the other times, I had said this. A chemical equation is complete after you have written it, you give the products, correct products, then you balance. So in the process of writing the chemical equations, you will be required to write chemical symbols, chemical formulas, and of course, the correct products. Then you balance the equation. After balancing the equation, what happens here? You are supposed to balance the equation, then use the mole ratios to maybe get the moles over something else. If, for example, you are reacting sodium hydroxide and HCl, then it's going to give you sodium chloride plus water. I'm not even writing the chemical equations. I mean the state symbols. I'm just using it to explain something. Unless you write this equation and balance, if you can get the moles of this, Then from the mole ratios, if it is 1:1, then you can get the moles of these. So if you are not okay here, then you will have a very big problem. But of course, hiyo ni vitu rahisi sana yenye haijawahi shinda mtu, and you cannot be the first person kushindwa nayo. Are you together? Yeah, somebody has confirmed ananiambia it sounds good. Does it sound good or I sound good? See, hapo tuko very specific. Ni mimi ndio na sound good, si ndio? Now, there is something I want to explain ndio tuendelee. Okay, nilikuwa nimeandika vitu mingi hapa, particles, moles, nini, but let me just explain kidogo. Tumesema the amount of a substance that contains Avogadro's number of particles is called a mole. Now, what is the Avogadro's number of particles? It is 6.023 times 10 power 23. Now, you can use this value, to calculate the number of atoms or to calculate the number of molecules. And I'm going to shed light. I'm not going to, calculate, but I'm just going to shed light because it's something that is simple and, haitawasumbua sana. Let's talk about this. Where's my duster? So this is our first lesson. I will have no problem to tukiendelea even up to 10th lesson. There's no issue with that. Now, let's look at the following elements. We have oxygen. Then we have element, for example, sodium. We also have aluminium and others, which actually are they only exist in its atomic state. So ukiangalia hapa, let me just write the full name of sodium first. Then I explain to you what I want you to get. If right now I ask you to write about the oxygen, you will automatically write for me the oxygen molecule because it exists as a molecule. But for sodium, you will only write for me Na, simply for an atom. So the atomicity for sodium is 1, meaning it does not exist in a molecular state. But for now, oxygen, 2 atoms stays together for it to form a molecule. So this one, so now it is possible for us to calculate the number of molecules of oxygen because oxygen has the molecule O2 and it has the oxygen atom O. But now for sodium, it only has, or it exists in its atomic state, just simply sodium. Wesi, ile siku ndakupata umeandika hivi, I will take you to Mathare, and on top of Mathare, I will tell them to be beating you every day, like 6 strokes in the morning, at lunchtime, and of course, in the evening. Now, listen here, like I want. When we talk about the number of atoms, when we talk about the number of molecules, so from the definition that atom is any substance that contains Avogadro's number of. Now, 1 mole of sodium has a certain mass. We call it the molar mass. And everybody should know this. Though it's always provided in the information there, but there are some matters that you will always have to know. For example, sodium has a molar mass of what we call it 23. Oxygen, atom, not molecule, because here it has atom and it has the molecule. Atom, it has 16. 1 atom has a molar mass of 16. Now, if you are asked to calculate the number of molecules, you will not work with 16. You will work with 32. But for sodium, you will only work with 23 because it only exists when it is an atom. So if you're told to calculate the number of sodium atoms that are in 2 grams of sodium, so ni wewe tu kujiambia 1 mole of sodium has 6.023 times 10 power 23 atoms. Now, what about the mass yenye umeuliziwa, for example, 2 grams? But because you cannot equate grams and moles, so we need to ask ourselves, 1 mole of sodium is how many grams? In this case, it is the molar mass, so it is 23. So you will tell us 23 grams now is equivalent to what? 6.023 times 10 power 23 atoms. What about the mass you have been asked? You will get the number of atoms. I believe at that point, you're okay and you have heard what I've just said. Clap for yourself. Number two, if it is in oxygen and you are asked about oxygen, you are asked about molecules and atoms. If you are asked about atoms, work with 16. 16 grams has 6.023 times 10 power 23 atoms. What about the mass you have been asked? But if they are asking about the molecules, one molecule of oxygen has 32 grams. Though when you talk about the molecular mass and molar mass, we say it is a ratio because it is compared to a certain other element. It has no units. But when we are comparing, we are talking about 32 grams. It being equivalent to 6.023 times 10 power 23 molecules. What about the one that you have been asked? I believe we are together at that particular point. If we are together, type we are together. Then we proceed. So I think that was just among the parts I wanted you to shed, or I wanted to shed light to you. So when we talk about when we talk about calculation of the atoms and molecules, you have to yourself or check first if you are dealing with an element that can exist in molecular state or not. But in most cases, if we are dealing with the one like sodium, aluminum, and the others, we are only talking about these ones being able to calculate the atoms, not the molecules. Thank you for that. Now, let's proceed. This evening, what I want at the beginning is, the topic is the mole, just the mole. So I want us to get the concept on how are we going to calculate the mole. So we need to ask ourselves, what is the relationship between the mass of an element, the mole of an element? Are we together? Yes, and of course the molar mass. There are those three things. What is their relationship? And I would like to, because I'm dealing with the mole itself. So we have these three things. How do we get the mole or simply moles? Then mass of the substance, then the molar mass. And don't confuse these two. This is the mass, it's given in grams. Molar mass has no units, but of course, when it is needed to be compared to something, it takes the units of grams. Hapo tuko pamoja. It takes the units of grams. Now, what's happening is this. Sorry, kuna watu niliwasahau kuwatumia link. Watanikasirikia sana. By the way, tell me where you're watching me from. Where are you watching me from? Just a minute, just a minute. Thank you. I think now we can proceed. Good, good, good. Yeah. So now, if I would like you to know how to calculate moles, I just give you the relationship between what you are seeing here. The mass, the mass, the molar mass, and the mole. So how do you calculate the moles? The moles is given by the molar mass over, so it's the mass over the molar mass. You simply say mole or moles. Now, sasa nimeachana na maneno ya the mole. Hiyo story imeisha. It is mass over the molar mass. Evo. And if I will be talking about a compound, I will talk about formula mass. But there will be no harm if you continue talking about the molar mass. So this is what I wanted you to have. Hii itakusaidia sana kuliko huyo rafiki yako mwenye your fake friend. Moles is given by mass over molar mass. That thing will help you a lot. And given by mass over the molar mass. You will try to calculate from your side. I had said that you get yourself a calculator, and it's fast to go. Like I will just drop it very fast right now. Now make sure at least umetoka dakika kitu. So check the comment section. I'm dropping a question, and the question reads: calculate the mass of 0.4 moles of calcium. I hope you can see the question I've just dropped in the comment section. Calculate the mass. Calculate the mass. Yeah, it's here. Calculate the mass of 0.4 moles of calcium. Good. So if you have this, that moles is given by mass over molar mass. Now you're being asked, calculate the mass. Calculate the mass, then make the mass the subject of the formula, and it's going to be, I hope this let me write here, because mass is going to be, you take this times this. Molar mass, MM stands for molar mass times the moles. What's the molar mass for sodium? Hata ukiangalia kwa hiyo kitu, nimekuwekea hapo vizuri, nimekuambia ni 40. Molar mass ni 40. By the way, you will always be given the molar masses. It will always be provided for. But now, in the event you are not provided for, kuna zingine zinafaa zikuwe unazijua. So 0.4, which is now the number of moles, times 40. Hiyo haitakushinda. So that one, just have a pen and do it right away. 0.4 times 40. Kwanza itakupea. Here we have one decimal place where it's going to give you 16 what? 16 grams. Good. Nataka to move pamoja. So if you have understood that one, say you just write nataka to agree. Just write understood. Ndio tuendelee. Nisipoona mtu ameandika understood hapo, sitawapea next question. And by the way, I have a next question. And you will calculate it very fast. You have to match my speed. Aya, another question is coming. After kama umeelewa hiyo, andika understood. Aya, kuna swali tunakurushia hapo saa hii. There's a question, I'm dropping it right now. Another question is just dropped, and be watching later. By the way, this video will be here for very many days, very many years. You can even go through my videos, whatever I've been doing. Kuna video niliposting 2020 when some of you were in class 6, class 4, class 5 hapo, sindio? Aya, kuna swali hapa. Determine the number of moles in 13.5 grams of aluminium. Determine the number of moles in 13.5 grams of aluminium. So I know right now you are doing the question right. Umeandika hiyo swali. Oscar amesema understood. Thank you, Oscar. Yeah. And by the way, when you join a lesson, you make sure you stay up to the end. In fact, I'm not staying for too long. 40 minutes, tutakuwa tumemalizia. And remember, we are now, we still have 15 minutes or, yeah. So for those who have not subscribed, kindly subscribe and share this link. Now, determine the number of moles in 13.5 grams of aluminium. Determine the number of moles in 13.5 grams of aluminium. So you are supposed to calculate the number of moles. I said moles are given by mass over molar mass. 13.5 grams over 27. By the way, kuna mtu ako hapo ajui 13.5 times 2 is 27. And therefore, 13.5 divided by 27 is 0.5. Kama ulipata 0.5, clap for yourself. Yeah, I can see JJ amepata 0.5, which is very, very, very nice. So, another question. Na kama pia hujapata andika hapo, rudia kwanza fulani. I'm here to repeat. Hatuna haraka, sawa sawa. Na mimi sina usingizi mingi kama wewe. So kuna swali lingine nataka niweke hapo. Now, so let me ask you a question. How do you, hii yote nimefanya are for elements. So an element, they have what we call molar masses. Look at this. Look at this. I just want to teach you something here. Look at this. There was a day I went to a certain class. Nilikuwa nimeficha kiboko hapa, hawakuona hapa hivi. Nikaandika hivi. After nimeandika hapo hivyo, nikawaambia hii ni nini? And everybody was like sodium carbonate. And I just felt like, these people, okay. They're not seeing any mistake. Kila mtu ameandika kwa kitabu sodium carbonate. I had to fight. Sodium carbonate. Sawa sawa. Hey. So just now, I was just testing you. Ndio ujue ya kwamba you need to know how to write chemical formulas. Now here, how many elements are here? We have sodium, though there are 2 of them. We have carbon, 1. Then we have oxygen, which is 3 atoms. Now, what is the molar mass for sodium? Tumeelewana hivi, sodium has 23. Are you together? Carbon has 12. Though, let me just clear this. Carbon can also exist as what do you call? Carbon can exist as an isotope. We have carbon 12, carbon 14, but let me talk of 12. Oxygen, it is 16. Now, because it is a compound, I will talk about formula mass. Now, for the whole of this, then I must by doing what? We have 2 sodium atoms, so I will have plus. For oxygen is 48. I know kuna mtu amekimbilia calculator sahi. Pure sana. See, 12 plus 48 ni 60. Si ndio? Si 60. 60 plus 46. I'm going to say 60 plus 40, 100. Alafu 6, 106. So here we have 106. Don't put units because it's a ratio. 106 is the molar, it is the formula mass for sodium carbonate. So if I ask you now, calculate for me the moles of 10.6 grams of sodium carbonate, you will talk about, if we have 10.6 grams, so it's going to be 10.6 over 106. So hii 106 kwanza lazima ucalculate ndio upate 0.1 moles. You know, for elements, you are simply being given their molecular masses or simply their molar masses. But for a compound, you have to write the correct chemical formula first. Unaanzia hapo. Then from there now, what do? You calculate the formula mass. Kama tumeelewana, andika understood. So, you should write the correct chemical formulas. By the way, you can go back to my channel. Just go to Ambassador Speaks, then search chemical formulas. Utapata a whole lesson that we learn how to write chemical formulas. Go there, please. Don't be rude. Go there. Also, chemical equations. You will get a whole lesson how to write and balance chemical equations. I hope we are together on that. Now, the other thing that I would like you to teach, I would like to tell you this evening before we end our lesson. I still have 10 minutes before our lesson ends. There's something very important I want to talk about. But as okay, first of all, let our lessons always be starting at 8 to 9. Kuna wale wanataka 8:30. Nataka to 4. Is it ianze 8 ama ianze 8:30? The first person to comment there is what we are going to pick. But I will prefer 8. So you tell me 8 to 9 ama 8:30 to 9:30. 1 hour is enough. Hata kama tutafika tufanye examples 2 3 na ikuwe imeisha, tutakuwa tumefanya kitu. Now, there is this thing. You are told, for example, calculate calculate the percentage of carbon in sodium carbonate. Where will you start? Calculate the percentage of carbon in sodium carbonate. The first thing you do here is this. Kwanza ondoa hizi kwanza. Umeambiwa tu calculate the percentage of carbon in sodium carbonate. Now, haujaambiwa at how many grams to nini. It's very simple. It's very simple. Calculate or find the whole RFM, relative formula mass, which tulifanya tukapata ni ngapi? 106. Now, for carbon alone here, it's going to be 12 over 106 times 100%. You will get for carbon. For oxygen, because there are 3, it's going to be 48 over 106 times what? 100%. So in this case, you will get its percentage. For sodium, it's going to be 46. Sumana ni mbili. Na moja ni 23. Oscar amesema 8 to 9. We are going to stick to 8 to 9. Now, for sodium, it's going to be 46 over 106 times 100%. You get your answer. And when you add all these, it should give you 100%. That's how to calculate it. Like, you can be told, find the number of, find the percentage of this and this and this. Now, lastly, it may not be really the last one, but let me say lastly, and let me explain this. If you are given, like any compound, for example, ammonium nitrate, for example, sodium sulfate, calcium sulfate, aluminium carbonate, whichever the case. Na umepewa mass yake ukaambiwa, for example, hii mass yote hii ya huyu ni 50 grams. Yes, we have 50 grams of sodium carbonate. What is the mass of carbon in 50 grams of sodium carbonate? The whole of this thing is 50 grams. But now, we are asking you, kuna manyapata ya carbon ikiwa 11.31%, there's no words about that. Now, let me explain this concept. We have 50 grams of sodium carbonate. We are able to get the mass of each one of them here for sodium, for carbon, and for oxygen. How is this going to be possible? It's going to be possible because, one, we will get for sodium, which is 46 over 106, not times 100 this time round, times 50 grams. So whichever or whatever you will get from there will be the mass of sodium. When you do 12 over 106 times 50, that is going to be the mass of carbon. When you take 48, because now that will be for the oxygen, it's going to be 48 over 106 times 50. You get the mass of oxygen in sodium carbonate. When you add all the masses, it's supposed to give you 50 grams. Now, students, that was the introduction part of it. And it was just checking on how things will be here. And I believe from tomorrow, we will pick. Tomorrow, I'm going to start from a place known as empirical and molecular formula. You only have 2 tasks to do. One is to invite as many people as possible. Yeah, we would like to have a class of 50 tomorrow. So make sure tomorrow we have a very big class so that when we ask a question, people can answer it very fast. We don't have a problem with that. So tomorrow, let's meet from 8 to 9. Tumeelewana? Yes. And if you want to support our programs, you can read the running notes down here so that we can pipe notes to continue facilitating. Otherwise, I don't have much. I want to wish you a good night. And if you are there, also wish me a good night. Just write Andikapo good night before I end or I switch off the camera. Write very fast. Andikapo. By the way, nakungojea uniandikie hapo good night, alafu ndio niende shughuli zingine. But tomorrow, make sure you keep time. Yes, I'm waiting for you. Yeah, yeah. And do match practice in malls. Actually, malls is all about a matter of practice, 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 practice. Unafanya practice mingi mingi. Si tu ati after tumesoma hivi. No, you have to do much practice. And by the way, for this week and part of, okay, let's say this week, the whole of this week we will be discussing malls. Mpaka even Saturday jioni, Sunday jioni, we will be discussing malls. You are highly invited. The likes of Oscar amesema Kurite. Thank you so much. Kuna mtu anajiita JJ. Sijui ni nani huyo anajitanga JJ jamani. So utafuta tu